Hello Internet, welcome to the Collective Arcana, a channel all about tabletop gaming. Today I'm just going to walk you through the steps that I took to paint Trinket. It's pretty straightforward, easy mini out of the group, but I still wanted to do a video in case you wanted some tips and tricks. So to start, I did what I always do. I removed the layer lines. He didn't have any gaps that needed filled, and then I primed him. And then here you can see I'm just layering up thinned out brown paint. And it's important to thin it out and do several layers if you want to get a nice even color. If you use it straight out of the bottle, you're going to get splotches and it's not going to look good. I recommend trying it, do an experiment, and you can see the difference rather than just taking my word for it. That's what I did. I kind of played around and found out for myself after hearing the tips to see if it was really true. The next thing I did was I dry brushed a light tan color or a light brown color onto his fur so that it would really bring out that texture and look a little more realistic. And I did a little extra on around his nose because I want his nose to be a light brown color. The contrast isn't great here because I haven't done the ink wash yet, but I'm going to ink wash and dry brush one more time. But we'll do that later. And for now, we're just going to mix in some black into some brown and do an ink wash. This will settle down into the deeper parts of the sculpt and make that texture even more noticeable. And then while that dries, we'll go ahead and add the gray onto the armor. So I'm going to do the armor in silver, but I always do a very solid gray coat underneath of the silver. It makes it look a lot better, a lot less splotchy. And anytime you're working with a light colored paint, you're going to probably have to do several layers of the paint thinned out. Again, you can try it straight out of the bottle, but I think you'll see it doesn't look as good. And the light gray really takes a lot of patience because it is so thin and light. I think I ended up doing like 4 coats of this or something like that before I could get a smooth, straight color out. So next I'm going to paint the little leather straps that hold his armor on. So my technique with leather is I like to do sort of a brighter basic brown color. So this is sort of a sandy color. And it's because I'm going to add in some other shades to kind of mix it up because leather is not a flat color. I mean, it gets worn in different places and it's got all sorts of different, blacks, dark browns, reddish colors. So I always start with sort of a brighter, lighter brown, and then I do some washes. So see here I'm doing the first wash with this very red tinted color, and I love this color for leathers. And then I'm going to do a black wash over top of that. And later I'm going to hit it with just like a quick focus dry brush. That's sort of my go-to. So now that the gray paint is dry, you can see even just one coat of the silver is looking even. Had I done the silver straight on, it would have been very splotchy and not very attractive. So that's why I did the gray underneath. I'm still going to do a couple of coats of the silver, but even just one coat looks okay. Just be very careful here to not touch, even when it's dry, to not touch the silver paint because sometimes the sort of metallic in it can rub off and get stuck to your fingers, and then you'll have, metallic paints all over the legs of your trinket. You don't want that. That's true with any metallic paints that I've noticed. I use that same color on the little buckles. You might have to do a couple of coats of the silver on the smaller parts, especially if you didn't put gray underneath of it. It's sped up, so I must have cut it out, but don't forget to paint his little nose black. So here I'm going to go through with a copper colored metallic paint. I noticed a lot of people just did straight silver, and that looks really cool too. But I wanted to do a little something special just because he didn't have a ton of detail, and the detail is my favorite part. So I took this copper color and I just lined the edges of the armor, and just took a very tiny brush. I found these brushes that are a little bit longer in the bristles. I ordered them off Amazon. I can link them below if you're interested. But any small brush is fine. It's just that I like these because they hold more water and my paint doesn't dry out on me while I'm working. And yeah, I'm using my thumb as a mini palette. I use my hand as a palette a lot. There wasn't really a good line around his tail, but I ended up drawing one in. And then after I lined all these edges, I took a brighter gold color and I just hit the top parts, like the highlight parts. It made it stand out a little more. I don't know if it's terribly noticeable, but it's something I always do when I'm painting bronze or gold armor. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to even see when I do that. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention it. If this is a little more advanced than you're really ready to do, you definitely can skip this step. Like, this armor looks great without it. You could just go straight to the black ink wash. Or even just maybe paint the little emblem on his arm there. I think this part is the main reason I wanted to make sure it was outlined. It just felt like there was a lot of detail up there that, wasn't quite standing out as much as I wanted it to. So I just painted it in there. And here I'm drawing in. There wasn't a good solid line there to follow. I would say this is my only issue with this sculpt, is I kind of lost a little detail back there, but otherwise this is one of the better sculpts. Not a lot of flaws. There wasn't a ton of flash lines to remove. So here I'm just doing a black ink wash all over everything. This will let it settle into, the lines between the trim I just did. And then, the flat parts, of course. So just layer it on, and then you can take a wet brush and pull up the high spots. And it gives it a more worn look. It looks more realistic than the flat silver. And you kind of can control how worn you want it to look here. If you want it to look brand new, I would still do it. Just do a lighter wash, because you still want the shadows. And here I'm adding in some extra just on these lines here, so that they look a little more 3D, because they're pretty flat. Just doing a little touch up. I added some more highlights and stuff into the emblem there, because I wanted it to pop. This was a good place to use that lighter gold color. And here I'm just adding it on the high bits. And then the last thing I did was I took some more of the straight silver paint and I added highlights with it over the ink wash, just to pump up that contrast a little more. And then just touching up the belt buckles, just the little things you do at the end. He's definitely the least stressful one to paint. Pretty straightforward. And then last I painted his little nails. And I used that same color I used to dry brush with earlier. And I think I might have cut it by accident, but I did hit him one more time with the dry brush, just to after the ink wash dried. So I would recommend that for sure. So I hope that you found this helpful and maybe helped you get your trinket painted. Give us a like and subscribe if you like this content. I'm going to be doing the whole series. I've already got quite a bit of Vox Machina done. I've made a playlist, and if you're interested, you can check that out. Otherwise, I hope you'll give us a like, a subscribe. It really helps us while we're a brand new channel trying to grow. And just let us know if there's any kind of content you want to see, and we'll see what we can do. So thanks for watching, and welcome to the collective. We'll see you next time.